Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host, Kieran Mack, as always, and delighted you've been able to tune in with us yet again. Now, before we do get started and get into today's top stories, don't forget to like this video and please do subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Now, if you like listening to us on a podcast player, just look down below in the description and you'll find a link that will take you to a website where a vast array of podcast players can be found. I think we're up to about 20 now. And finally, if you like the show, if you want to support the show, if you want to buy me a coffee, you can do so. Look down in the description yet again to buymeacoffee.com, and that can be all done through their platform, risk-free. Now, before we do continue, quick channel update. I am heading on vacation. That's right, I am taking some time off and I'm heading back to the Emerald Isle of Ireland, where I plan to have an enjoyable time for a few weeks. The planned trip will be about a month, but that doesn't mean the Thai Expat Daily Show will not be on the air. But I want to clarify to my listeners, because I know that a lot of people tune in, so make sure, we give you the upfront information. This Friday, the 1st, will be the last show before I go on vacation. I then will have no show between the 4th and the 11th of September, and then we'll be back again on the air from the 12th. Now, I will still be on vacation, but, I feel that we have a lot of listeners and the news still needs to be brought to you. So from the 12th onwards until the 4th of October, I will try to bring you 2 shows a week while I'm away on holidays, just to keep you up to date with the news and what's going on here in Thailand. But between the 4th and, as I said, the 11th or the 12th, there will be no show for that 1 week. Just a little time to decompress, relax, chill out with the family, and, just in general enjoy the beginning of my holiday. But as I said, we will be back over the course of my holidays as well to bring you a couple of shows a week. So now that that's all done and dusted, let's jump into the top stories doing the rounds here in Thailand today. And the first one, Srettha plays down talk of reform as Sutin emerges as the defence minister. As Pheu Thai Party decides to nominate one of its deputy leaders, Sutin Klungsang, as Defence Minister, Prime Minister-elect Srettha Thavisin is playing down expectations that there will be any radical reform of the military under his new administration. As I've been saying all along, I don't like the word reform. My preference is for us to develop the military together, Srettha said, when questioned by reporters on his government's plans to reform the armed forces. Pheu Thai was one of the political parties that made reforming the military a platform policy during the recent general election. It proposed downsizing the armed forces and imposing tighter controls on arms acquisitions. Now, Mr. Thavisin also declined to confirm that there was a last-minute change in his party's cabinet lineup, which saw a former army general sidelined as defence minister and replaced by Sutin. Now, sources in Pheu Thai said, however, that Mr. Thavisin was under pressure from members of the Red Shirt faction to drop General Nataporn Nakpanit, a former Secretary General of the National Security Council, from the lineup. Natapon, who was strongly supported by outgoing Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha for the defence portfolio, was criticised for his alleged role in the bloody crackdown on the pro-Thaksin protesters in 2010 while he was serving in the army. Sutin, a veteran politician and a party list MP, had earlier been tipped as Education Minister. He was a teacher before entering politics. Analysts tell local media that Sutin, an elegant speaker in House debates, is seen as being politically moderate and should be acceptable to the military. Sutin is not the first civilian to assume the defence portfolio. Most recently, former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, Samak Sundarev, and Chuan Lekpai also double as defence ministers. So yet again, Pheu Thai trying to wiggle out of the promises they made before the election. Of course, one of them was they wouldn't go into government with any of these junta parties. They've scrapped that one. And now, of course, on one of the, as was said in the article, one of the promises they made was to reform, this was a platform policy, to reform the military. Conscription gone, placed with volunteering, and reform make the army smaller, reduce their budget, etc., etc. And suddenly now it's, oh no, we didn't mean that. These guys, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if an election were to turn up tomorrow, they'd be gone as a party. And the talk that you're hearing is their strong base that they normally have, the northeast of Thailand, northern provinces, are absolutely furious with them. Now, imagine this, and a lot of these people that support them are farmers, people who believed from their previous times in government that they looked after the farmers and they took care of the farmers. In the next cabinet, they've given up the agricultural seat. to one of these other junta parties. So the people who look after them in elections, the people who vote them in, they've even given away the agricultural portfolio, and the hopes of them being looked after, at least, through policies to help them earn more money, looks like it's gone. This is what happens when a party is supported and funded by a criminal in Thaksin Shinawatra. And this is what's happened. They have basically sold their soul to get this guy back into the country. And I mean, most analysts will say this is what's gone on. It is astounding that they have decided to go down this route. Literally, the Move Forward Party don't have to do anything from now on. They just let Pheu Thai screw up and continue to do what they do, break all their promises they made to the people, and they will be a shoo-in at the next election. But nevertheless, that is Thai politics. And, the thing is, a guy I saw today, he just tweeted me and he was saying, he's been here 30 years and he said none of them, they're all the same. They can be a red shirt or a yellow shirt, he said, but deep down inside, they're selfish individuals who look after number one. Apparently, Srettha Thavisin's first meeting yesterday was with the top businesses in the country, probably cementing the status quo, make sure, we're not going to let anybody new into the markets, make sure we have our monopolies and our domination over the various different businesses here in Thailand, which, of course, if you're living here in Thailand, you will know that a lot of sectors of business are controlled only by a couple of companies. Like example, beer. It's only 2 or 3 companies in this whole country that are able to produce beer because there is a monopoly on it. Telecoms is another one. So it continues and continues, but I don't know. I mean, is there any chance of change in the future? Probably not. Not if things continue to go the way they're going and people lie to the Thai people in the manner that they have been over the last few months. But nevertheless, we'll move on to another story that's quite interesting. Phuket Airport is to welcome all taxi app drivers. Now, this is a significant move for Phuket International Airport, but Phuket International Airport will open its doors to taxis from all ride-hailing applications, allowing them to pick up passengers from this Friday, reports the Phuket Info Center, operated under the Phuket office of the Ministry of Interior. Kirati Kitamanwat, President of Airports of Thailand, confirmed the policy shift directly with Phuket Information Center today. However, the approval comes with specific regulations and designated zones, the Phuket Info Center reported. Exactly what stipulations will be in place were not actually explained. Of note, the Phuket Land Transport Office, the PLTO, as recently as 12 days ago, shared a public notice confirming that Maxim and InDriver apps were still not yet approved by the Department of Land Transportation. The PLTO also issued a notice stipulating what was required for app taxis to legally operate here in Thailand. The policy shift by AOT will also mark an end to an intensive campaign carried out by the PLTO in arresting app taxi drivers that were deemed illegal at the airport. The campaign, with support from local police, began in February and continued to at least June. Since then, the PLTO has fallen silent about its campaign to crack down on illegal taxi drivers. Now, regardless, despite the absence of exact details and official passenger acceptance guidelines, the announcement by AOT President, as shared by the Phuket Info Center, has ignited comments among both tourists and taxi drivers stationed at the airport. Now, the General Manager of Phuket International Airport under the Phuket branch of Airports of Thailand late last month confirmed in a statement that Phuket Airport was to have an all-taxi area. However, the all-taxi area was not expected to become a reality in 2024, Mr. Monchai said. Of note, the statement was not publicly posted by AOT Phuket. Instead, the statement was shared by the Phuket MP, Somchat Techawakasaran, the successful Move Forward Party candidate for Phuket District 1. Just last week, the MP Somchart republished a revised fare structure for electronically operated taxis, particularly those using apps. This was published in the Government Gazette. The Ministry of Transport proclamation introduced updated passenger rates and additional service charges, demonstrating a deliberate step towards maximising the sharing economy and broadening choice for consumers. On one hand, the move could facilitate tourist journeys from Phuket Airport to various tourist destinations on the island. Conversely, airport taxi drivers are contemplating the appropriate approach to queue management and ensuring the prevention of clashes between regular taxis and app-based hire vehicles. So this is good news. If you're a tourist coming to Thailand, you will have the option of being able to book your taxi through, let's say, Bolt or Grab. They will be able to go to a specific area, and this is what was spoken about before in the airport, and then you'll be able to get your taxi from there and head off on your way. Grab, Bolt, all these taxi apps are generally significantly cheaper than the guys who are just standing there at the airport who on regular occasions try to up the price on you, even though there is set fares to different parts of Phuket Island. I think the person that will definitely win out in all of this is the tourist. How these taxi drivers who've paid concessions to work at Phuket International Airport exclusively will deal with this is another thing. I can see problems arising as always when these things happen. They have for many, many years, and I'm talking a lot of years, not just 5, 10, 15, 20, had their own way here. So it'll take a time for it to be, for them to accept it. And then also you're going to need police there to ensure things don't get out of hand. But ultimately, it is the tourist who will benefit from all of this. Now, we're going to move along to another story. And today I was thinking about this story before I decided I was going to, talk about it. Because I do feel that Thailand has a lot to offer and many people are exceptionally happy when they come here on holidays. They have a great time. It's a country they love to visit. But there is deep down kind of an underbelly of abuse that takes place within the criminal system here in this country and defamation laws that are used criminally to suppress freedom of speech. And I was reading an article recently. And it's about a lady who was a human rights specialist here in Thailand. And I wanted to read her story to you today and go through her story because I think it highlights problems that we have here in Thailand in terms of criminal defamation. But the topic is Thai companies should not be able to jail their critics. Now, Sutin Klungsang is the director of The Fort, which hosts activist groups in Bangkok, and was previously a senior human rights specialist with the Southeast Asian activist group Fortify Rights. Thailand's judicial have been playing a pivotal role in recent weeks as powerful elites sought to obstruct, harass and silence elements of society they consider a threat, including the Move Forward Party, which captured the most votes for the election held in May. Now, this story has been written by Kun Patani. Human rights activists have also been targeted with spurious court proceedings. My own legal odyssey began in 2019 after I posted a few tweets and retweets on Twitter, platform formerly known as X, to show solidarity with human rights defenders who had been sued by Thai poultry producer Thavisin Co. for drawing attention to poor working conditions at its plants. The company zeroed in on a hyperlink in my social media post, which indirectly led to a video created by Fortify Rights, the human rights organization that I work for. The video, which Thavisin considered defamatory, featured a former employee talking about the company and includes allegations the company denies. Although 2 Thai courts found in an earlier case that the video is not defamatory, the Bangkok South Criminal Court ruled that the company's suit against me should proceed to a full criminal trial. After more than 3 years of proceeding and 15 hearings before 3 judges, I expect to be sentenced on August 29th. Now, according to the Thai Penal Code, she would be imprisoned for up to 42 years for her 21 posts and reposts. And just remember that. But there is a good ending to this story, folks. The prospect of spending the rest of my life in prison is awful, but what really fills me with dread is the chilling effect that court cases like mine will have on the next generation of human rights defenders here in Thailand. The proceedings have distracted me from my work and eaten up my time. My home is about 45 kilometers from the courthouse in the city centre, a commute that takes about 2 hours on a typical working day. To ensure that I arrive on time, I sometimes stay overnight in a hotel near the court. Most of my court appointments have been taken an entire day to complete. On some occasions I arrived in court only to learn that the hearing had been adjourned without notice. The case has drained time and resources from my former employer too. Fortify Rights have fortunately secured more than $77,000 in donations to cover legal fees and other costs for myself and 9 other human rights defenders facing complaints from Thavisin. The slow but persistent drumbeat of proceedings has weighed on my family and loved ones. The steady grind on resources, time and mental will is integral to so-called strategic lawsuits against public participation, or better known as SLAP. In Thailand, companies and other groups typically file SLAP defamation cases to try use the criminal code to intimidate and censor human rights activists, journalists and academics. SLAP suits have been going on far too long in Thailand. According to data from the Government Office of the Judiciary, at least 25,000 criminal defamation suits have been filed since 2015. Thavisin alone has launched at least 37 lawsuits against 22 individuals since 2016, mostly women. Thankfully, I've continued to receive overwhelming support to deal with this case from my family, the Fort, the team at Fortify Rights, and other human rights defenders and foreign diplomats in Thailand and around the world. But I have often wondered how other less fortunate and more marginalised than myself deal with similar prosecutions for exercising their constitutional rights to freedom of expression in good faith. What lengths must they go to defend their rights and the rights of others? How can they tolerate this seemingly endless and bruising process, and why should they? Even the Thai government, which often uses the courts to attack its critics, acknowledged the chilling effect these slap actions can have. The Ministry of Justice National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights noted that the Criminal Procedure Code had been amended to allow judges to dismiss suits launched to distort facts or to bully defendants. Yet the amendment has had limited impact. My lawyer tried to invoke it to have my case dismissed, but the court rejected their motion. More can and should be done, starting with decriminalising defamation. As experts from the UN and human rights organisations have suggested, defamation is a legitimate concern in Thailand as elsewhere, but it should be handled in a civil court. A robust civil society that can speak truth to power is an indicator of an equitable society. Slap actions inflict economic and psychological harm on individuals and poison the environment for civil society and democracy here in Thailand. When Thailand's new government is finally formed, its agenda should include an early move to end slap suits to protect human rights defenders. Now, this was in Nikkei Asia, and it was a very interesting article, and I read it. I really did think long and hard about it, and the fact that a person had retweeted something about a company that clearly were doing something completely wrong. And instead of that company taking responsibility, putting their hands up and dealing with the situation, they continued their practices and decided to go after the person for reposting the content. And I think that should be a crime in itself. Now, the same person, Andy Hall, was another person who was acquitted last year, I think it was, from the same. Now, he went after not just them, but some fruit companies as well. And it's the same MO from these guys. Get accused of, basically human rights abuses, and instead of taking care of the situation, owning up to it, they decide they should to shoot the messenger more than anything else. And I think that is highly wrong. Thailand does have an issue in that defamation here in Thailand is handled criminally and not civilly. And that's the way it should be in a civil court, certainly not in a criminal court. And people should not be going to jail for, 40 years because of it. That to me is just absurd and ridiculous. And I think Thailand needs to really get a grip of itself here, change the laws and ensure that companies cannot abuse laws like this anymore. Now, in relation to this woman, she was actually found not guilty today in court, which is a fantastic result for her. The court said she had done nothing wrong and she was found not guilty in the court. And that hopefully will end her nightmare. But there is others still in court and many more. When you see figures like 25,000 people, this is affected since 2016, I think it was. Or 2015, that's an awful amount of people. And things should be changing. I often think if Move Forward Party did get into government, of course, this, by the way, this was in Move Forward Party's manifesto for government, was to deal with this issue as well, to make defamation a civil case, not a criminal case. Of course, will Pheu Thai do that? I doubt it, because the parties that they've gone into government with have also used this against people many, many times. So I don't think we're going to see much movement on that in the next 4 years or so. But nevertheless, I just wanted to bring that story to you because I do feel that important topics like this need to be broadcast to people, and people need to understand some of the underbelly of things that go on here in Thailand. And it's not here to, bash Thailand in any way, but this woman's been put through hell for years because a company wouldn't do the right thing. Instead, they decided to go after as I said, the messenger. But nevertheless, I'd love to know your opinion about that, all down below also in the comment section. Now we have another interesting story. A lot of people always seem to ask about this Thai elite visa. I've found an article, there's been a lot of talk about it, but the Thailand elite visa membership fees are set to increase. And the lowest level, I believe, is going to be scrapped completely. So Thailand Privilege Card Company, that's the TPC, and we'll use that from now on. The operator of Thailand Elite Membership Program for foreigners is planning to revamp its packages and, imagine revamp, and increase the prices, of course. So the new packages will be available in October, but applications for the existing packages can be submitted until September 15th at the current rates. There was confusion when TPC initially announced a deadline for upgrading memberships, but they have since extended the deadline and clarified renewal options for existing members. The Elite Easy Access membership, which offers a 5-year visa and exclusive benefits, is the most popular option. TPC has 5 other membership packages with longer visa and VIP perks. The Elite Card program was first proposed 2 decades ago but struggled initially. Now, the program has faced criticism for its vetting process, as some Chinese criminals have obtained Elite membership. TPC generated 3.1 billion baht in revenue from October 1 to March 31st this year, with a goal of 10,000 new members by September 30th. Basically, the 5-year plan, from what I understand, is going to be scrapped. And they have another thing. By the way, you can actually buy Elite visas from people. There's a way of doing it. There's like a market for this, and you can, but you lose a lot of the perks, like at the airport and stuff like that. But nevertheless, for people who do look at the Elite visa as a way for them to stay in Thailand, do know that the price and the fees are going to go up, up and up. And when we do get those fees, and they're announced, in a couple of weeks, we'll certainly bring it to you here on the show. Now, finally, the sub-district chiefs have been grilled over illegal houses near Phuket Airport. Now, Thailand District Chief Bancha Tanu has ordered the chiefs of Tepkasadri Tambon and the Saku Obertor to investigate 49 houses believed to have been built illegally within their areas. Mr. Bancha issued the order to investigate these suspected illegal structures earlier this month, with the 2 Obertor chiefs given until Friday, September 15th, to report their findings, reported the news agency ISRA. A total of 34 houses are suspected of being built illegally in Tepkasadri, and a further 15 houses are suspected of being built illegally in Tambon Saku, notably in areas around Phuket International Airport. The order was issued in response to a complaint filed by Jamron Kurdam, chairman of the Gulf of Thailand Andaman Area Conservation Network. Also in response to the complaint, Police Captain Pia Raksakul, Director General of the Department of Special Investigation, that's the DSI, arrived in Phuket to inspect illegal structures and illegal occupation of areas within the Bang Kanun Protection Forest. The complaint reported included confidential information from a conservationist who's part of the network in Phuket, ISRA noted. So again, more corruption. By the way, this building illegally here in Thailand, I think a lot of people know this happens all the time, and it does go back a number of years. I think the most famous cases of it, of course, were just after the military coup, when the military decided they were going to take back the beaches in Phuket, and the amount of illegal structures that were just simply built on the beach with no permission, just go down, piece of land, put up a beach club and work away. That was the way things were working back then. Now, of course, things have gradually kind of come back a bit over the last couple of years. I think the government have not been as strict. I think enforcement, of course, has not been there. And I think the will to take care of things has ended. I guess this whole thing back in 2014 after the coup was to kind of show the people, oh, look what we're going to do. We're taking back the land and the illegal businesses. This is your land. This is not some business's land. And this is where it led to. Of course, now these complaints are coming in. These government agencies have to act because people have legitimate concerns. Businesses just popping up, houses just popping up, but yet no permission for them to be built. But it is part and parcel of many parts of Thailand, and particularly Phuket. Anyway, folks, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. As always, we'll be back, as I said, on Friday with the last show of this week. Anyway, thanks for tuning in again, folks. Have a great day and do stay safe out there. But ultimately, with this story or anything else that stood out to you today, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Because yes, this is a news show, but it's also a conversation. Now keep that conversation going. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and do all the good stuff that does help that YouTube algorithm. But ultimately, my name is Kieran Mack. You've been listening to the Thai Expat Daily Show, and we will see you next time.